Were you expecting me to talk about this? No. Am I going to talk about this? Hell yes I am. So by now, if you're on TikTok, you've probably heard of Jojo Siwa's new song, Karma. And it stirred up a lot of interesting things, controversy, all that kind of fun stuff. But it also ended up kicking up and revealing the first rendition of this song available publicly at this moment that was shelved about 12 years ago. And it was recorded by Brit. Now, people all over TikTok at this point have basically unanimously agreed that Brit Smith's rendition of this song is the best version and that JoJo's sucks, basically. And I think that's funny because of everything going on with it, but I figure since it is a hot topic right now, I'm going to take a look at both versions of the tracks, the one by JoJo and the one by Brit Smith, and not really look at it as a, blind reaction, like, normal view of it, but look more into, like, the production of it and talk about that stuff with it. So first up, just to get it out of the way, JoJo's track. And before anything music-wise, I'm going to list off credits for both of these that I can find, and I use the website Genius just because that's the one that pretty much had the most info on both of these. So for JoJo's, it said it was produced by Rock Mafia and DJ White Shadow. And one thing I will give the song, and even though it is positive, it's also constructive criticism. The beat wasn't that bad. It just, for me, I felt it sounded really empty in some spots. It just felt like almost all there, like it had the bare bones, and it had some stuff with it. But it was like, there was stuff missing that I felt looked like, that if you were looking at it, something's up with it, something missing. But overall, not bad for what it is. Vocal-wise, that's something else. Because if you do listen to this, on a first run blind react, it's not that bad. And I know people are going to be like, oh, it sounds horrible. Let me finish. I'm only on the first 3 sentences of this paragraph. It doesn't sound bad, but it feels like it's too good. And what I mean by that is it's too clean. It's too polished. It doesn't really feel human in a way. It's like, it's just so polished with whatever auto-tune they used, the pitch correcting and other plugins that other people would use. It feels like they were just turned to the max. Now, don't take this the wrong way, because tons of artists use auto-tune to some extent, whether it be something like T-Pain's music that uses it as a specialty, or even as something as minimal as like adjusting pitch in a song, because maybe for a second someone's vocals either dropped or raised a note, and they just kind of want to make it flat and just sound like smooth. That's not bad. I've even seen auto-tune used on guitars. I've used auto-tune on guitars. It's not this crazy big bad wolf thing that a lot of people think it is. It's a helping tool. It's meant to help. But on this track specifically, it feels like it's doing a lot of the heavy lifting that normally the main vocals would do. It feels like it's kind of holding everything together with like everything it's got. And it's used to the point of basically, like I said, it's squeaky clean. It feels like there's like no errors in it. And yeah, while that's okay, you don't want it to overtake everything. And another thing with this, there are also backup vocals. I do not know who does the backup vocals for these. I don't know if it's her or if there is additional backup vocalists. But whatever, the mix on them is not that bad. Because I'm able to listen like piece by piece. They didn't sound that bad mixed. But the thing is, they were pretty much up there almost with the normal vocals in terms of like volume wise. And with stuff like this, I don't think backup vocals should be that loud to where it's like they were here. I would think backup vocals would kind of be around here, maybe add some extra effects to make it sound like a bit more of kind of just like not an echo in the background, but more distant. This, it sounded like it was like right here with it, and basically like almost on the same level as the lead vocals. It feels like it's not really trying to harmonize the stuff, because if it's a harmony and you have multiple people trying to go at the same time, that's different. That's supposed to be all together. But this, you can hear, at least I can hear, it clipping in and out at a certain time, and it's so there that it's very noticeable and kind of takes me away from what the lead vocals are supposed to be. And another thing, the ad-libs. What the hell is going on with these ad-libs? It's like if you saw that one video on TikTok of her screaming and the producers, like, or whoever's in the booth recording it, she says that she sounds raspy today. But if you listen to JoJo's scream that is there, that's used 3 separate times in a 60-second frame, like, she sounds so raspy, but you hear the auto-tune, you hear the reverb, you hear the help it's giving it. That's so wild. But then there's like other little ad-libs jumping in and out that are so loud that are like, I would say they're basically on the same scale as the backup vocals, and they're just so annoying with the ad-libs, and it just keeps taking away from everything. The only person that would be worse at ad-libs being like the main distraction from a song is So Small of City Morgue. It's okay if they're for here and there, but every other verse, goddamn. Same with JoJo. They're not really that far off, but she's getting up there with this shit. And like the last thoughts on just this version, it's a solid song. It's not really that badly produced if you're just listening to it normally. It just feels extremely dated, which, like, there's a difference between a song aging badly and being dated, say if it was from then, but I've never heard a song come out, like, new song, brand new, that feels already a decade old. And that's what this seems like to me. It feels like it is from 2012, which, it's like, I don't know if that's good for her or not, but, like, that's very bizarre, I will say that at the least. Now on the opposite end, we have Brit Smith's version, which was actually recorded in 2012, and the producers for this are Rock Mafia and fucking Timbaland. And now if you don't know who Timbaland is, he is a rapper and a producer. Obviously, he is a producer on this track, who's worked with a lot of artists. You can look it up, like his top 50 songs, they're all ones everyone would know, including one of my favorite rappers, like one of my top 5, Missy Elliott. He's pretty much had a hand in every single album. Even her newest EP, he was listed as a producer on this. So it's like, you already know this is gonna kick. And it did. For this, we gotta look at this even differently than JoJo's version, because hers was recorded in 2024, but the Brit Smith version that we're gonna be looking at is recorded in 2012. We can't look at this like a song that was produced now. We gotta look at it as if it is a 2012 song and we are reviewing it in 2012. The beat on this track is amazing. Chef's kiss, whatever you want to call it. The drums are probably my favorite. I am a drummer. I love how people use the drums. And one thing I looked at with Timbaland stuff is, and someone mentioned this in a comment, I forget what video it was on because it was about a couple hours back, but it was like a top 50 or top 10 of like his music, whatever the hell. They say a lot of his tracks have powerful drums in them, and they're like very heavy and they really are there. And if you look back at a lot of the songs he produced from that, like I would say 2010-12, it's crazy how upfront a lot of the drums are and how many songs he's even done. I knew he did some production. I didn't know he did a lot of production, like holy shit. And what's even cool in this, there are some guitar and strings works in here, like strings like cello, violin, shit like that. I don't know what the certain stringed instrument is, so I say strings. And then there's like a futuristic feeling melody over it, but nothing feels out of place. It all feels like it belongs, which very odd because I think it's like it's coming from at least 2 different sides of like the music spectrum, because I wouldn't expect like heavy guitar or strings to be in this song, vice versa. Like that's weird, but it works. And like normally in songs I would like to see a structure on how everything sits in a track, whether that be like drums and bass kind of holding up the back end of it and making the song feel full. Then you have like the melody, your guitars, your other stuff like that. Then you have the vocals. But honestly, it's flipped. In this one, you have, like, I would say the drums taking the center, and the melody kind of holding up that outer area, that would basically be empty without this, and it's very interesting. And then, like, the vocals in this also hold their own really well. Now we're actually going to talk about her vocals. Somehow they sound 100 times better being, like, 12 years old. I would say, like, JoJo's team had probably a lot of access to a lot more newer plugins, different effects, all that stuff. Brit Smith's team probably still had a lot of that, like, production quality, a lot of the plugins. But the difference is here, she still sounds like herself, and it sounds more human, if that makes any sense to anyone. And you can hear a lot of these effects on this track with, like, pitch shifting or correcting for some parts. There's, like, a lot of auto-tuning in some spaces. There's delay, I've heard reverb, and even just simple EQing of the vocals. But she still sounds like herself, and it still sounds, like, really natural, because they use all these tools as, like, seasoning, or, like, just to help it. It doesn't really become the life support holding the track together. And that's what I like to see. This feels like that specific amount of time, but yet also, you can still play it nowadays and it sounds good. Like, I was actually playing this while working, like, a couple hours back. Like, it's not bad. And what I mean by, like, her vocals, I wanted to say this as well, with them being more natural feeling, I don't think it was done in one take, but I don't think it was a punch in after every single verse, after every single line. That's not a problem. A lot of people use, like, punching in on tracks to make it more structured. Maybe they needed to hear where they left off on another track to be able to kind of bring the next verse home, all that stuff. I've seen it used in a lot of rap songs, and I've even used it in some punk songs that I've worked on. But for Brit Smith, you can hear breath in between the lines in some parts with, like, the normal verses, which most of the time a lot of people cut them out just to make it not, like, sound natural or something. I don't know. It's, like, it's weird, because I would rather have them in it, because it's not really taking away from a lot of it, but it's a cool little piece of, hey, they did this in one take and all that. You know, it's just cool for me. It's a neat little Easter egg, or whatever you want to call it. Overall, it's clear who the winner is. It's pretty much a dead giveaway. It's Brit Smith. This would have probably been a big hit, honestly, if it came out in 2012. But it's awesome it's being released now and preserved, because if you really think about it, if Jojo Siwa did not do a version of this, we might have never heard Brit Smith's version, and it could have ended up being considered lost media. But now a lot of people are loving this, and as of right now, when I wrote this at 3 a.m. on the 16th, Brit Smith is at number 6 of the United States top iTunes songs, and I didn't see Jojo Siwa anywhere on the list, and I think it was the top 200. I at least didn't see her in the top 50, but it's crazy how her releasing one song and all the controversy with it, and Brit Smith's like, okay, you want to do that? I'm going to release mine. And it did astronomically better, apparently, in charting, and a lot of people are now loving that. So it feels like she just pretty much, like, kick-started Brit Smith's career again. Cool. I'm excited to see if she puts any more new music out. I'm not really a pop music fan myself. Like, obviously you can see a lot of my crazy shit. I'm not a pop music fan myself, but I would love to take a look at a lot of this stuff and just see, like, what else is in store. Yeah, if you like this video, let me know down below. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do whatever, guys. See you in the next one.